Video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful card using the new frame maker die, which is the JND443 bubbles frame. And this is based on the original frame maker idea, but this time you get a square into a circle. So you get a beautiful frame, easy cut out that gives you exact proportions of 1/2 inch on each side and then the beautiful corners. But it does have other parts in there, so it has 4 corner dies, which again can be used inside to make the corners or can be put together, because these will simply cut in, so you can get a beautiful bubble cross. You also get a plain circle, which allows you to cut out the center or create a second layer on your frame very, very easily. You then get the center section here, which gives you this beautiful spray of bubbles, a circle for it, and another little die in the middle, which will punch you out those little bubbles. And the idea with the frame maker is it fits perfectly with the other frame maker dies that we've done. So if you want to turn those from simple squares into a square with a circle, you can do that. And the other corner dies that are within those, within the delicate frame, will actually fit within here as well, giving you lots and lots of possibilities. But in this video, we're going to actually make this card here using the dies in the set and the new bubble flower and one of the sort of birthday sentiments. And this is a great way to simply show off the colours of your inks or use some of your papers and things. And again, the frame is so easy to make because it's in one piece, so it's not difficult to do the other sections of it. So we're going to get started on this, and to start with, I'm just going to take a normal piece of card. So I'm just going to take a normal piece of A4 card in coconut white. This is our essential card. And you want to tape your dies down. Now, the reason I'm using an A4 piece is because this should show you that this will actually cut twice. So we've got there and we've got there. So if you simply rip your cards down to 5 3/4, it will give you the perfect sizing. So I'm just going to cut this down to 5 3/4 inches, meaning you'll get 2 frames from one sheet of A4 card. So you can see here, one piece, and we can put that down. And the easiest way to cut this with the bubbles intact is to not cut it first and then add these dies in, but add these dies in. So these will just evenly space within there, and we can simply tape them down. I'm using the Craft Artist tape as it's the best I've ever used, genuinely. I'm just going to pop that in, and again, really simple and easy to do. These are quite good solid pieces, so it's not delicate or difficult to actually pop them into place. As long as you keep an even border, it will work. Even if you don't, it will still work, to be honest. So we put the 4th one in just like that, so we get those nicely put in and cut down, and we simply run that through our die plates. You may need to run it in both directions to get a true cut depending on your machine, but in one cut we will get this beautiful frame here with all the bubbles cut into it, and you get this beautiful stitch line around the top and the bottom of that. Nice and simple. So there is the beginning of our frame done, but obviously we want to put a colour behind it. So you could use one of your patterned papers, you could use a single colour of card. What I've done here is I've used the Spearmint from the Pearl Fusion range, and I've just made a background just with the, roughly put the pearl ink over the top and then splashed it with a little bit of water. But of course what we can do really, really simply is to cut the backer for this just using the die on its own. So we'd simply place the die down on its own like that, and we'll run that through, and I will run that through the machine so that you can actually see the cut piece and how they match perfectly. And this is the idea of the frame maker dies, is that you get an exact identical frame every single time. Doing a square into a circle is very difficult. You would need to make sure that all of your dies were really heavily taped together. Take it off once you've cut that, pull the corners out, and then keeping it in exact place, cutting it together. So it makes this a lot easier. So you can see here, we just pop that out, but it's exactly the same size on all 4 dimensions with one cut and no worrying about special tape or anything. So all I'm going to do, just for speed, is to use a little bit of Display Mount by 3M, which is the replacement for Craft Mount. give it a light spray, but you can obviously use glue glaze in this if you want to. I wouldn't suggest using a thicker glue, a PVA glue, because it will sort of squidge through into all those dots. And there we have an absolute perfect frame. But from our piece, we will get a circle, which again, we could just pop in the middle, but we're going to use in this project, and a strip left off. So you've got plenty here to work with. So next layer, what we're going to do is take a square of card, and this is slightly smaller. So this has been cut to 5 by 5, just to fit in perfectly. And all I'm going to do is to take the next die in the set, which is obviously the dotted circle. Make sure you have all the pieces out of it, and just pop it into the center. There's no right or wrong way. You don't have to look at any indications to make sure that this is in the right direction. We simply tape that down and run that through. And once you've run that through and you've pricked it out, you will get this beautiful pattern here. And again, it gives you a perfect center to which you could add a matten layer, or you could just put in the little circle die in the middle. But because we're going to cover that with a sentiment, we don't need to do that. So again, all I would do is add a little bit of spray glue on the back of that. And I'm going to take the circle waste. This is really good for not wasting card, and drop that in. So we get exactly the same colour going through without having to waste a lot of card. So now we can simply frame that. So I've got my frame turned over. I'm just going to use some foam tape, and I'm using 2mm foam tape for this, as it adds that depth and definition without actually adding too much extra depth to your card. Again, use whatever foam tape you like. And for frames, foam tape is a lot easier than using individual squares or pads, but that's down to personal preference. So we're just going to do this, and because the frame's been made quite robustly, you don't have to worry about putting support in these corners as much as you would with a larger frame. It works absolutely perfectly, and this has been sized to work with lots of other dies within the John Next Door press cut and Pretty Chic ranges. So you will find other centers from other dies will fit into this, other corners will fit into this frame. So all I'm going to do is just frame that like that perfectly. And then to make that into a card, I've taken another layer. Now what I did was I used an A4 sheet, and I've coloured one A4 sheet of this card, and this has enabled me to cut the frame, the panel, and I got the flowers out of this as well. I didn't have to do another piece. So we're just going to add a little bit of glue onto here. So when you do that, make sure that you're gluing around the edge, but you're also gluing that center circle, as that is technically a loose piece. We top fold so that it takes the weight, and we just frame that on. And very simply, we have a beautiful card showing all of the colour. And to finish this off, I've just taken a scrap piece of card, gently shaded through with the same colour of spearmint, and then I've put one of the happy birthday sentiments on from the new John Next Door sentiments, which you'll notice fit exactly in that circle. So they fit precisely in there. And then all I'm going to do is add some of the flowers that match this, and that's the bubble flower. So I've made this, and if you watch the separate video, you'll see how I've done these. But I've simply coloured through the die and then used a white piece of card. So I've cut these twice, and this gives me 8 beautiful flowers in 4 different sizes. And I'm going to just use here, I think, 3 of each, and just pop those around the top and the bottom. So a little bit of the Craft Artist Super Tacky glue, as the high acrylic content means gluing these on is perfect. And in the center of these flowers, I've used the center from the die itself, as well as using one of the glass dewdrops, which again just adds that little bit of interest in. So we'll pop a larger set at the top, at the bottom, slightly smaller set at the top, and I've gone from bottom left to top right. And there we have a beautiful card made just using effectively less than 2 full sheets of A4 card. And there we have it in the Spearmint, and there we have it in the Pacific. And on this one, it's on a 7x7 card. This is actually 7x7 as well, but from a slightly different manufacturer, so slightly different size. But a great quick card to make that's really impressive. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John next door and Crafts2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.